He definitely makes them better. All right, they got one wide receiver now on the roster that's capable of being the #1 wide receiver. So you got 65, 70 plays in offensive game, 70 if you're going well. About 10 or 12 of those plays, you want to build design to your #1 guy to be able to dictate to him. We're going to force the defense to be able to cover him. We're going to force the ball to him in either some situation. He's either going to get the football or he's going to dictate coverage that we're going to allow someone else to be open. Now they have that with Amari Cooper. Why is Amari Cooper a friendly wide receiver? Because you can get him the ball at all 3 levels without straining on your quarterback. He has great game speed as far as being a deep threat. He can come off the line of scrimmage, either bump and run, and be able to get into the deep quadrant of the field. He's a great route runner, intermediate. You could see that. Since he came into the league, very, very mature as a route runner. I would say he's a little bit bigger version, not because Greg is on the show. He's a little bigger version of Greg Jennings and the way Greg played football. And his personality is a lot like Greg. So I just feel like quick screens, you can get him the ball, you can run him on reverses. There's only a few receivers that you can use them at all 3 levels. His football IQ, very, very high. He's a low-maintenance, non-diva wide receiver. He fits into the Cowboys, and I just believe in my working with him as a young player, he grew up as a Cowboys fan. So I believe he's a good fit, even though people might want to say that the price that they paid for him, how is she going to get a #1 guy? They just don't fall out of trees and everything. So I believe he's a great addition to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm happy for him that he gets out of Oakland because the last 2 years haven't been good football years for him.
This is interesting for me. You compared him to me. I look. The one thing I would say about Amari Cooper that I did not do, I did not drop the ball as many times as Amari Cooper.
Yeah, but he just got the drops. He never had that at any other part in his career.
Well, when he had 18 drops in 2015, he still made the Pro Bowl. Then he handled that. He had 4 drops the following year in 16. Last year he had 10. This year is not even over yet. So when I look at Amari Cooper and the Dallas Cowboys, does he make them better? Yes. But how much better? It's to be seen. Because when my eyes look at what I'm seeing, can he be productive? Of course. But then also, can he just fall off the face? Yes. Now, partly because of quarterback play. Derek Carr hasn't been what we all hoped and wished that we thought he was going to be.
Neither is Dak Prescott.
My point exactly where I was going. But Dak Prescott as well has not been what we thought he was going to accelerate to be coming off that rookie season. Again, is he a #1? Yes. Can he help them and make them better? Yes. But we all have to see it. We got to see it because it hasn't been proven, even with the poor quarterback play that he's had the last couple years.
Let's set the price tag aside for a second. His salary aside, the draft pick compensation aside, let's just talk about the player for a moment. This is the part that I don't understand, even though I have been a Derek Carr skeptic before it was cool to be a Derek Carr skeptic. 9 games since the beginning of last year, he has 2 or fewer catches, 20 or fewer yards. That can't just be quarterback play. And it's not injury. And I know from talking to Cris, it's not work ethic. It's not a guy who all of a sudden started going out partying all the time and stopped preparing for football. It doesn't. You know how much it bothers me, Jenna, when things don't make sense.
Yes.
This is one that doesn't make sense to me. A guy who had the pedigree he had, even if he wasn't a 5-star coming out of high school, goes to Alabama, sets records at Alabama, goes top 5 in the draft, and immediately you went through all the list of wide receivers who've been drafted high and not worked out. He's a guy who immediately did work out, first year and second year. And then these last year and a half, he's just totally fallen off. That's the part that I don't get, and it's been with 2 coaching staffs in Oakland, 2 systems in Oakland, the same quarterback, obviously, but that's the part of this that Amari's got to prove when he gets to Dallas. Price tag aside. Now, I think they paid over sticker, but that's a separate discussion. The question is why he went from Pro Bowl caliber player to a guy who in half the games he plays is a non-factor.
Is there something to, now that he's in Dallas, he will be the main focus and much of that offense will go through him, and maybe more reps gets him back into the swing of things, whereas in Oakland it was a little messy on offense?
This is the thing. We've seen there's no player on Oakland that has a stellar career outside of Khalil Mack. If you look at the last 4 years, when you're on losing football teams, it's hard to have good numbers. Good football players get turned into mediocre, bad football players on bad football teams. We don't talk about them, and they go off into the abyss. That's what happens on teams. It's not as if the Cincinnati Bengals never had good players. They couldn't cultivate those players. So whatever happened in Oakland was called a lack of developing the player. In his first 2 years in pro football, he was a Pro Bowl player already. Did they develop that player? No, we haven't seen that. So the Oakland Raiders, who have they developed? And the one player who did develop, Khalil Mack, they decided to trade him. So it's not as if the Oakland Raiders are some damn think tank for football and they're going out there just enhancing players and making them better. We see a lot of good players go to Oakland and end up coming out of Oakland not as good. So it's a new start for him. Let's see what he can do with that quarterback. But it's more important to the quarterback, because you can't evaluate your quarterback unless you have a number one receiver. At least they do have one of those. You know, you can say you don't like the drops and everything. It's called player development. He's still a very young player at 24, because this is what I'm telling you. K-Neal Harris out of Arizona State, A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss, Marquise Brown out of Oklahoma, Anthony Johnson out of Buffalo. I'll take Amari Cooper over all those guys, because those guys, those are going to be the first-round picks. I'll take Amari Cooper over all those guys. So if Dallas could, if they could just throw this season away, they wait on next year's draft and draft one of those kids, I'm putting my money on Amari Cooper, because I know the kid, I know the talent level, and he's already achieved a lot in pro football.
On this level. And I agree with that. I'd take him over the potential draft picks that they could get.
Because that's your choices.
Those are your options. But for me, you mentioned Dak Prescott. It gives him a chance to evaluate who and what he is. I think that's who this is going. The focus is going to turn on him. Because now Jerry Jones and staff, we're giving you a number one.
Guess what's getting ready to happen to Amari Cooper? He's getting ready to play football like he did at Alabama. It's going to be 9 guys on the field. All right, Oakland, they ain't have to stop the run. They ain't had no running attack.
He's going to be single covered a lot.
Oh, single cover, absolutely, just like Alabama. And he was the best player on Alabama's team, but you had to stop them for running. He just helped Dak, he just helped the offensive line, and he just helped Zeke get a whole lot better, because that one-on-one outside, he will thrive in that.
The worst-case scenario for Dallas is not that Amari Cooper doesn't regain his first- and second-year form. The worst scenario for Dallas is that he does. Dak still looks like we've seen him this past year and a half, and they're like, oh, we need to draft a quarterback. Oh, wait, we don't have first-rounder anymore. That's the worst situation for Dallas, is that it's not that Amari doesn't work out. It's that he does work out, but Dak still has issues, and now they have less resources to go replace the most important spot on the field.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.